Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day 4, game 1 of Open and Women's Nationals. We are watching the Malachite Kings against the Bunnies. We've got a Southern Region team facing against a Eastern Region team. I personally... Sorry, not an an Eastern Region team. I personally hail from the Eastern Region. I'm originally from Durban, but I play Frisbee in the Southern Region, and I'm actually on the roster for the Malachite Kings this evening, but I've taken up a commentary gig instead, as I'm sure you can tell. So both these teams have a place in my heart. I've played a bit with the Bunnies, a little bit. Kevin Bickle on the receiving end of a deep forehand. Shane Murray to convert in the end zone, number 6, and we have points on the board for Malachite Kings early. Malachite Kings are going to look to keep that momentum, led today by Joshua Stain, who also coached the Southern Region Wild Dogs team for the interregional tournament not so long ago. A good way to start the game this evening. Bunnies are going to look to retaliate. The Kings to pull. I believe Vainant Muller is in possession of the disc. Signal's ready to pull. Bunnies are ready. Led this evening by Ruan Mulder. Good movement from the Bunnies off the receiving of that pull. A floaty pass intercepted. Johan with the disc in a handling position. Maritz, Kevin Bickle, to Shane Murray, who looks at Chad Betts, who pulls it down in the end zone for the second point of the match. (2-0) to the Kings. A very, very dominant performance off the start from the Kings. Bunnies needing to retaliate soon, not let the Kings get away with this lead. Malachite Kings to pull. Ethan King moving the disc to Robin Lee, one of the female matching players, one of the few female matching players in an Opens team. We love to see it. Ruan Mulder with the disc. Back to Robin Lee. A deep forehand. I think that is Liam Fenimore, unable to bring that forehand down. Apologies, Christian Stone, not Liam Fenimore. Malachite Kings to retain possession, to regain possession on the end zone line. The disc is checked in. We have a backhand force set up. And the Bunnies have set up a zonal defense on the Kings. Aiden Parker, originally from the Western region, but joining the Kings, the Southern region team. As mentioned in our previous game, our previous stream, the Kings, this is their debut tournament, looking to make a bit of a statement. A mixed bag of players from Makanda, from East London, as I mentioned, the Western region, good number of high school students. The Bunnies convert. Two-one to the Kings. Bunnies looking to make back the early lead gained by the Kings. It is just 2 points after all. The signal is ready from the Kings line. Apologies, not ready. The signal is that they need one more player on the line. Kevin Bickle answers the call. Orange hair, orange boots. Kevin Bickle puts the gym in ginger. That is one jacked redhead. The pull from the Bunnies catches the wind. Blades into the ground. Joshua Stain, the captain of the Malachite Kings, is on the disc. Pressure release to Kevin Bickle, who spreads it to Aiden Parker. To Vickers Null in a handling position. Kevin Bickle gives him a wide option. Kevin Bickle wearing the number 1 jersey with the name Ginger. Fitting. Reinhard van Rensburg resets to the handlers. Vickers Null on the disc. Joshua Stain giving a short option. Spreads it to Kevin Bickle. Back to Reinhard van Rensburg. Vickers Null. Fakes the backhand. Back to Kevin Bickle. Jeremy Stewart, an option in the end zone. The pass completed to the young man from Beaconhurst High School. Ladies and gentlemen, that leaves the score at 3-1 to the Kings. Definitely making a statement. Working well together today. The Kings are ready on the line. Joshua Stain to pull. A powerful flat pull. Caught by the Bunnies offense. Robin Lee with the disc. Bunnies maintaining possession. Thomas Vircher out the back of the end zone, unfortunately. The wind might have played a role in that. We do have a crossfield breeze. Joshua Stain on the disc. Backhand to Kevin Bickle. Pivots, looks for a forehand. Pivots again. Chooses a backhand. The receiver was intended to be Chad Betts. Unfortunately for him, blocked by the Bunnies defense. And we have a deep look into the end zone for the Bunnies, who end up converting. Joshua Geldenhuis on the receiving end of that one. Lots of support for the Kings on the sideline. This is their home turf. Josh Stain, the main man behind the Kings endeavour and the captain this evening, is based here in East London. He teaches at. We love to see it from the Kings. The pull comes in from the Bunnies. Caught by the Kings. Johan with the disc. Looking for a deep option possibly. Chad Betts on the receiving end in the center of the field. A deep backhand from Maritz. Brought down. I believe that was Weinand Muller. It was indeed. Vickers now with the disc in hand for the Kings. A very blady backhand pull. Bends in. Lands at the feet of Andy Oliver for the Bunnies, who kicks to Robin Lee. Back to Andy Oliver. A deep backhand look. A layout attempt in the end zone by Christian Stone unfortunately comes up short. That would have been spectacular. I was holding my breath for that one. Reinhard van Rensburg smiling in relief. He had no way to keep up with Christian Stone. Luckily for him, that disc did not find its mark. Aiden Parker on the receiving end of that forehand. Johan with the disc. Fakes forehand. Throws a forehand to Aiden Parker. Unfortunately, Jeremy Stewart puts the disc down, but readily sets up a mark on Robin Lee, who kicks to Andy Oliver, swings it out. Andy Oliver releases a low forehand that maintains its height. And Keenan Dandridge receives in the end zone. Apologies for the lack of commentary, ladies and gentlemen. We've just been sorting something out with the score. The score is 5-3 to the Malachite Kings. Still leading the Bunnies. Bunnies not far behind though. Kevin Bickle to pull. That disc will not come back in bounds. Or will it? Just short of coming back in bounds, almost. Almost spoke too soon there. Andy Oliver calls the brick. Cool. Chad Betts checks the disc in. Andy Oliver puts to Ethan King. Ethan Hewlett spreads the disc. It returns to Ethan King. Ethan King to Andy Oliver. Chad Betts sets up the mark. Ethan King receives again. Who puts to Thomas Vierge. Andy Oliver looks to make himself an option in the end zone. Thomas Vierge, a little pop pass over the top to Ethan King for a conversion. That brings the score to 4-5 in favor of the Malachite Kings. Not mine, mine's in my pocket. Ethan Hewlett with the pull, received by Vickers Null to Kevin Bickle. Back to Kevin Bickle. Maritz with the disc. Maritz Benson. Back to Kevin Bickle. Good yardage. Chad Betts receives in the middle. Kicks to Vickers Null. Fakes a high forehand. Releases to Maritz. A measured dump. Maritz looks forward. Chad Betts receives just in front of the end zone now. Unable to convert there. Very unfortunate for the Malachite Kings. I believe Maritz was the intended option. Robin Lee holds the disc, wearing the number 58 shirt. One of the few ladies in this tournament playing in an opens team. The disc is spread to Keenan, who puts a deep forehand. Joshua Geldenhuys checked that whether he was in or out. He was not. I mean the end zone, but the conversion came seconds later. It's either 5-5 or 6-5. Apologies for the feedback. We have Wynand Muller in possession of the disc. Fakes off Aiden Parker. Puts to Reinhard van Rensburg. Very unfortunate drop disc there. Robin Lee picks up the disc. Wearing the number 58 shirt. A little bit of contact in the throw there. Knocked down by Wynand Muller in the end zone. Ethan King was the intended receiver for that pass. Ooh, 2 undercuts made available for Wynand Muller. Unfortunately, the throw went into the grass. Aiden Parker set up as the marker. Jeremy Stewart. And a completed pass to Keenan Dandridge in the end zone, I believe. I may stand corrected. Keenan Dandridge in the end zone, indeed. Lots of energy from the Kings on the way back to their side of the field. And I believe with that, the Bunnies pull ahead of the Kings. The Kings need to dig deep and find what was keeping them ahead before. The Bunnies will be very happy with taking the lead. A very, very high bladey pull. From Christian Stone, who sets up the mark on Josh Stain, who resets to Vickers Null. Josh Stain again in the middle of the field. Apologies, the center of the field on the end zone line. Wynand Muller looking to release some pressure. Kicks to Reinhard van Rensburg, back to Joshua Stain. Aiden Parker might be looking long. Josh Stain is also looking long. Jeremy Stewart is underneath. Jeremy Stewart slaps himself in the face. Maybe that wasn't so necessary. Probably should have taken a little bit more time on the disc, but an excellent catch. Liam Fenimore is having his forehand forced. Kicks to Andy Oliver, who looks deep for Keenan Dandridge. Joshua Stain does enough to prevent the reception. Wynand Muller links up with Joshua Stain to release some pressure, gain some yards. A blade caught by Andy Oliver to turn over. Liam Fenimore with the disc. Shoots a forehand deep, which is swatted by Christian Stone. A fake backhand. The pressure's on. Josh Stain sets up the mark. Andy Oliver is the reset. Lots of close options. A pop briefly touched, I believe, by Ethan King and completed by Keenan Dandridge. The conversion completed by Keenan Dandridge, who proceeds to eat a meal out of the disc like it's a dinner plate. We love to see it. Or the notebook. I'm going to use the notebook. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I almost punched a hole in myself trying to update the score. Keenan Dandridge to Paul. Vaynant Muller receives to Kevin Bickle, who kicks to Moritz Benson. Chad Betts on the disc, wearing the number 23. Kicks back to Vaynant, who kicks to Moritz. Pushes to Johan. Good use of the width of the field here by the Kings. Kevin Bickle was an option in that chain too. He becomes an option again. Short. Looks for a forehand. Nothing there. Pivots onto his backhand. Fakes the forehand. Does not pivot for the backhand. It's an end zone option. Scooped up by Liam Fenimore, who kicks to Robin Lee. Robin Lee to Thomas Viecher. Ruan Mulder with the disc. A deep backhand. Will that stay in bounds? Brought down by Keenan Dandridge in the end zone. He uses the disc as a hat and then, as gently as he possibly can, spikes the disc into the ground. I believe someone was punished earlier or called out for spiking the disc. And that is half. Excellent work from the Bunnies there to take back the lead and run away with it a little bit. Malachite Kings are going to have a lot to discuss over this halftime to try and find the space they were in when they were in the lead early on in the half. Definitely lots to chat about. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to have the first pull of the second half of our fourth game here on day one of Opens and Women's Nationals in East London. We're at the Beacon Bay Country Club. If you're in town, pop by. There's tons of awesome frisbee being played on the cricket fields behind the club. You can see it from the road. It's been tons of fun for all of us here, the TOC included, despite all the admin that we're in the thick of. But yeah, pop by if you can. If not, we hope that you enjoy the stream. And these streams will all be uploaded to YouTube later if you'd like to watch them later. I'm sure lots of the players would like to review their footage. So if you're here after the game as a player, just coming to check out the games, review some footage, welcome. And we hope you get some valuable insight from these uploads. Joshua Steyn with the big intercept there. Unfortunately turned over by Maurits Benson. With an attempt to build some momentum. Thomas Vierge looks for the end zone. Josh Steyn blocks again. A defensive masterclass for the beginning of the second half. Kicks to Kevin Bickle, back to Maurits Benson, looking for some redemption. Shane Murray receives confidently. Gives to Wynand Muller. Wynand takes some time. Kicks to Josh Steyn, who is marked by Andy Oliver of the Bunnies. Maurits gives a disc, I think originally intended for Wynand Muller, which ended up in the safe hands of Chad Betts. Unfortunately turned over, blocked in the end zone by the Bunnies. Ruan Mulder picked that disc up. Andy Oliver on the disc now. Kicks to Thomas Vierge. The disc flies upfield to Ethan King, who unfortunately cannot bring it down. Contact is called. Discussion now between Ethan King and Kevin Bickle. The discussion continues. Doesn't seem to have reached a conclusion. Ethan King asks Ruan Mulder for some perspective, which he cannot offer. Chad Betts now adding his input into the discussion. The turnover stands. Kevin Bickle with the disc. Kicks to Maurits Benson. Resets to Josh Steyn. Fakes the backhand just to return to it. Chad Betts resets to Kevin Bickle. Maurits Benson with the disc now, again. Josh Steyn resets. Wynand Muller with an aerial catch. Very confident reception. Joshua Steyn with the disc back to Wynand. Fakes off Chad Betts. Kevin Bickle creates a short option. A pop pass to Josh Steyn. Minor contact there between Josh Steyn and Robin Lee. No call made. Josh Steyn kicks to Kevin Bickle. Back to Josh Steyn. A slightly blading forehand. Received by Wynand Muller, I believe. An awesome looping cut to pick that up for the conversion. And the Kings score the first point of the second half. Quite a lengthy point. Well played by both teams. I will say the Kings held possession for a bit longer than the Bunnies in that for that point. Definitely something for the Bunnies to look at. Hanging on to the disc a little bit more. They still maintain the lead. Bit of a blading pull. The wind is now playing a bit of a role. Thomas Viecher on the disc. Kicks to Ethan King. Liam Fenimore on the disc. John O'Combrigg. Blocked by Reinhard van Rensburg. Excellent defense from the young man. Maurits Benson picks up the disc, kicks to Johan. Johan to Weinand. Back to Johan. Unfortunately put down from the young man wearing the 22 jersey from Beaconhurst High School. An end zone option. Reeled in by Liam Fenimore, who does an aeroplane celebration in the end zone. And a very gentle spike. The score is 9-5 to the Bunnies. A little bit of discussion happening on the Bunnies line before the pull. Weinand Muller receives to Vickers Snell. Back to Weinand Muller. Swings the disc to Johan, who pushes up the field to Aiden Parker. A risky backhand, not hitting the mark. Rowan Mulder working up the field with Thomas Viecher. A low release forehand connects with Christian Stone in the end zone. Number 81. The score is 6-10 to the Bunnies. The Kings started in the lead, have lost quite a bit of momentum now. Definitely something to take into consideration. As that lead lengthens, the comeback becomes harder and harder. Lots of support for the Kings from the sideline. Must be their really nice kits. Can't see why else. I'm joking. Josh Stain to Vickers Null to Johan. Back to Josh Stain, who looks up the line. Fakes the forehand twice and resets to Johan. Johan van Aert to Vickers Null. Josh Stain receives again. Johan gives to Chad Betts. Johan van Aert with the disc. A strip called by Vickers Null. The disc is returned to the original thrower, Johan van Aert. Very quick end to that discussion, if any discussion at all. Oh. The discussion is, in fact, still continuing. The disc is in. Josh Stain collects the reset. Vickers Null makes himself a wide option. Oh, sorry, an under option. Kevin Bickle relieves some pressure. An unfortunate disc shape in the air there. Andy Oliver picks up, kicks to Ruan Mulder, who kicks to Thomas Viecher. Now back to Andy Oliver. Again to Ruan Mulder. Who gives quite a deep dump to Andy Oliver. Joshua Geldenhuys sends the disc into the end zone for Liam Fenimore to catch, who presents the disc to Christian Stone, who wants none of it. Bunnies now pulling away from the Kings. The score is 6-11 in favor of the Bunnies. 11-6. Keenan Dandridge to pull. The disc originally blading into the breeze, just to be righted by it. Josh Stain looks for a deep forehand, decides not to go for it. Moritz Benson now on the disc. The zone defense creating a lot of pressure. Kevin Bickle gives Josh some relief. Kevin Bickle dumps to Moritz, who swings to Josh. The release is nice and flat, but is brought down by Keenan Dandridge, who now picks up and looks for a hammer. The wind is not in the favor of said hammer, and Josh Stain brings it down. Moritz Benson with the disc. Releases a forehand to Kevin Bickle. Kevin Bickle looks long. Christian Stone brings that disc down with relative ease and immediately adopts the position further up the field. Robin Lee unfortunately throws a forehand into the grass just wide of Joshua Geldenhuys. Vickers Snell on the disc now. A deep forehand. Kevin Bickle is the target. There's a call. A call has been made in relation to the defense that prevented that score. I think a contested foul has been called. So the disc returns to the last uncontested thrower, who was Vickers Snell. The disc is checked in. Vickers Snell fakes a high forehand. Josh Stain acts as a reset. Very competent handling showcase from Josh Stain today. Funnily enough, not limited to that, a very competent defensive showcase from Josh Stain today. Kevin Bickle in the center of the field. Josh Stain again. He seems to be all over the field. Resets to Moritz Benson, who kicks to Vickers Snell. Back to Moritz Benson. Robin Lee, unfortunately, just out of reach of that disc. Vickers Snell to Kevin Bickle, right on the end zone line now, who completes the pass to, I believe, Vickers Snell in the end zone for the Kings conversion. Did it do it twice? Can't tell. Didn't show the face. Just correcting the scores there. The pull lands in the hands of Ruan Mulder, who kicks to Keenan Dandridge. Gives to Ethan Hewlett. Ethan Hewlett still with the disc. Andy Oliver. A high floaty pass to Jono Combrink, who unfortunately tips that disc out of bounds. Josh Stain picks it up. Christian Stone sets up the mark. A quick forehand, unfortunately does not land in the hands of Wynand Muller. And Ethan Hewlett looks for the end zone. A world's greatest attempt. I'm not sure if the last contact was in. It didn't look like it from here, but if it was, that would have been spectacular. Unfortunately, the throw didn't land in bounds either. We love to see the heart, though, from Christian Stone. I'm hoping we see a live-streamed World's Greatest by the end of OWN 2025. Hopefully in the later stages. I think that would make it even more worthwhile. But we'll take what we can get. Josh Stain with the disc, no longer wearing his cap. Ethan King slams the disc into the floor. Picks up a very, very assertive low forehand from Ethan Hewlett. Unfortunately, a little bit too much protein in breakfast this morning. Whey protein with the jungle oats, it seems, for Ethan Hewlett. Josh Stain ambles up to the line. Keenan Dandridge checks the disc in. Josh pivots for a backhand. Kicks to Moritz Benson, who kicks to Wynand Muller. Back to Moritz Benson. Forwards to Josh Stain. Seems to be all over the field, does Josh Stain. Reinhard van Rensburg resets after an attempted cut. Wynand Muller to Josh Stain. Aiden Parker with a very assertive cut. Unfortunately, the zonal defense locks him out. Moritz Benson to Josh Stain. Moritz Benson. Excellent composure from the Kings to keep possession under such defensive pressure. Wynand Muller receives out wide in an attempt to break the cup. Ruan Mulder brings the disc down. Ethan Hewlett looking to convert. Unfortunately, Keenan Dandridge did not get enough height to bring that disc down in the end zone. Josh Stain picks up. A wide swing to Moritz Benson. To Reinhard van Rensburg. Back to Moritz Benson. Bit of a floaty pass to Josh Stain, but collected nonetheless. Looking to relieve some pressure here and get out of their own end zone. Reinhard van Rensburg back to Josh Stain. Good 1-2 work from them. Back to Moritz Benson. Spreads the disc to Wynand Muller. The Buffalo. Kicks to Reinhard van Rensburg, who needs more grip in his trainers. Good pivoting to Josh Stain. Releases the pressure to Aiden Parker in the center of the field. Moritz Benson on the disc. Christian Stone is marking him. And a formidable mark he is. Wynand Muller. Josh Stain. clinical work of the disc up the field here by the Kings. Wynand Muller, the Buffalo, on the disc again with a beautiful hammer. Look at the end zone. Maybe a little bit more self-control. Lots of hard work. I won't say, maybe I should say thrown away using that hammer. Maybe we should have had a counter on the number of passes that possession. That was sick. Jono Combrink attacks the disc and receives. Back to Andy Oliver. Jono receives again. Minor contact with the Beaconhurst High School player. Andy Oliver kicks to Ethan King. Puts a beautiful forehand into the end zone. The target was Keenan Dandridge. Unfortunately, just long of him. Non-minor contact occurred between Keenan Dandridge and what looks like Wynand Muller, but it did not affect the play, so no call was made. Wynand calls a timeout. Kings timeout. 7-11 to the Bunnies. We've got a bit of a deadlock here on the field. This has been an immensely long point. This timeout will not only be tactical but also practical in terms of the physical fitness and the physical fatigue of the Kings. I'm sure the Bunnies would appreciate a break too. Excellent play from both teams. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please get some love in the chat for the TOC? These guys are running on fumes. It's only day one, but it's been a long day. Lots of work goes in behind the scenes. We've got some awesome people making stuff happen. Archer in East London. And people who are not from East London still making things happen in the time they can with traveling and all the works. So yeah, some love in the chat if you will. Play looking to reset after that timeout. The Bunnies and the Kings wanting to grab a little bit of rest there. Some time to chat through some tactics. Get heads back in the game that weren't in the game. Well, I don't think there were any heads that were out of the game. Player looking to reset. Wynand Muller with the disc. Checked in by Liam Fenimore. The call, let's go, let's go, let's go, comes from the opposite side of the field. Wynand Muller in possession of the disc. Kicks to Moritz Benson. Fakes a hammer, throws a hammer, tipped and received by Josh Stain. Crisis averted. Josh Steyn with a snappy forehand into the middle of the field. Picked up by Reinhard van Rensburg. Back to Aiden Parker. Jeremy Stewart releases to the Buffalo, Weinand Muller. Moritz Benson kicks back to Josh Steyn. Josh Steyn calls for some cuts. An option makes itself available out left. Pressure building. Back to Josh Steyn. Found the right spot. Loads up a hammer twice. Chooses to go against it. Bit of a bladey forehand to Weinand Muller. A good swing. The call, "My legs are failing me," from Liam Fenimore can be heard across the field. Another hammer into the end zone. This one received by Moritz Benson to uproar from the sideline. The Kings are ecstatic with that. (11-8) to the Bunnies. Kevin Bickle holds the disc for the Malachite Kings. (11-8) to the Bunnies. Not an unchaseable lead. Andy Oliver will pick up this disc. Weinand Muller speedily chases down Thomas Vierge with the disc. On the far side of the field, Shane Murray is his mark. Ethan King, wearing the number 77, marked by Kevin Bickle, looks to reset, finds Robin Lee, who swings to Andy Oliver, forward to Thomas Vierge, looks for Robin Lee, unfortunately cannot connect. Vickers Null picks up. Kevin Bickle's the close option, almost intercepted by Joshua Geldenhuys. Back to Vickers Snell. Weinand Muller. Vickers Snell. Forward to Kevin Bickle. Chad Betts, the characteristic cap. Johan van Aert kicks to Vickers Snell, spreads to Weinand Muller. Kevin Bickle is the close option. Back to Vickers Snell. A blading forehand into the end zone. Ripped down by Weinand Muller to bring the score to 11-8. Apologies, 11-9. Malachite Kings to pull. Vickers Null has the disc in hand. Pull lands on the near side of the field. Picked up by Rowan Mulder. Kicks to Robin Lee and back to Rowan Mulder. Ethan King to Thomas Viecher. Works it up to Ethan Hewlett. Ethan King. Robin Lee to Ethan Hewlett again. Looks for Ethan King. Good movement from the Bunnies. Robin Lee to Keenan Dandridge in the end zone to convert for the Bunnies, bringing the score to 12-9. We're not entirely sure how close we are to hard cap. We're not sure if this game will come down to points or hard cap at this point. I still wouldn't say it's an unchaseable lead by the Bunnies. Definitely the stronger team so far today. Even though I believe the percentage stats would... Sorry, the possession percentages would be greatly in favor of the Kings. That pull lands very decisively on the roof of the Beacon Bay Country Club. We might not be allowed back here. It was retrieved. Josh Stain returns to the field with the disc. He checks the disc. Thomas Viecher sets up a energetic mark so late in the evening. Maurits Benson on the disc. Spreads to Johan van Aert. Who kicks to Josh Stain. Reinhard van Rensburg makes himself available. Josh Stain kicks to Maurits Benson. Back to Josh Stain. Aiden Parker retreats to the middle of the field. A long forehand to Jeremy Stewart, who releases the disc early, maybe too early for Aiden Parker, and does not complete. Josh Stain defends. Bunnies didn't have possession for too long. Josh Stain looks deep. Will it stay in? It will. Aiden Parker was unfortunately not quick enough, or maybe not aware early enough of the disc's path. Rowan Mulder, captain for the Bunnies today, brings the disc up to the line. Aiden Parker taps the disc in. Rowan re-receives. Kicks to Ethan Hewlett. Then to Joshua Geldenhuys. Maurits made an attempt at defending that disc. Was out of range, but did enough to throw Keenan Dandridge off. Maurits Benson looks for Aiden Parker up the field. Some good yardage with that throw. The rest of the line needs to recover though. Maurits Benson receives again. Reinhard van Rensburg kicks to Josh Stain. Josh Stain fakes the backhand and spreads the disc to Johan van Aert. Releases a low pass to Aiden Parker, who tips into the end zone for himself to complete. The nature of the conversion may be questioned. Aiden Parker scores for the Kings. The score is 12-10 to the Bunnies still. As I said before, not an unchaseable lead. But maybe that's me being biased. I don't know. Tired legs at the end of a long day. From the looks of things, the Kings don't want this game to end so soon. The Bunnies look like they want it to end right now. Bunnies signal readiness. Aiden Parker to pull. Flat backhand pull. Lands in the grass for Robin Lee. It kicks to Ethan King. Back to Robin Lee. Forward to Ron Mulder. Robin Lee. A very decisive forehand into the end zone. Fortunately out the back. Moritz Benson on the disc. Kicks to Josh Stain. Josh Stain looks for Aiden Parker. Very composed offense from Malachite Kings this evening. Maintaining possession for most of the game. The score still leans in favor of the Bunnies. Well-deserved lead. Possession doesn't necessarily define points scored. This game is proof of that. Moritz Benson back to Josh Stain. Lots of 1-2 play. Josh Stain has seen lots of time on the disc this evening. Kicks back to Weinand Muller. Josh Stain again to Reinhard van Rensburg. Back to Weinand Muller. An apology from Ruin to Reinhard van Rensburg for minor contact. Robin Lee turns the disc over. Ethan King picks up and kicks to Andy Oliver. Andy spreads to Ruan. Forward to Robin Lee. One-handed grab. And what I thought was originally a conversion was not confirmed. But Keenan Dandridge, I believe, brings that down in the end zone to convert for the Bunnies. Bring the score to 13-10. The Malachite Kings looking for another man to join the line. Josh Stain answers the call. He's been a very busy man on the field tonight. Lots of defensive efforts, lots of attacking efforts. He's captain for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. The brick has been called. Josh Stain will walk it up to the brick mark. Thomas Viecher taps the disc in. Josh Stain kicks to Vickers Snell. Back to Josh Stain. Josh Stain kicks to Weinand Muller. Back to Josh Stain, back to Vickers Snell. Josh strikes, moving up the field. Receives on the outside now. About 5 meters of yardage gained. Would it be called meterage? Probably not. Chad Betts receives out wide. Pops back to Weinand Muller, who wasn't expecting it, but manages to recover. Vickers Snell receives in the middle. Kicks to Josh Stain. Kevin Bickle receives up the field. Some momentum built now by the Kings. Josh Stain. Takes his time. Doesn't let the momentum get to his head. Vickers Null with the disc. Kicks to Wynand Muller. Back to Vickers Null. Kevin Bickle makes himself available to Josh Stein. About 2 meters of yardage. Floating pass to Kevin Bickle. Back to Josh Stein. Shane Murray is pointing in the end zone. Kevin Bickle to Vickers Null. Shane Murray presents himself to Chad Betts in the middle. Resets to Vickers Null. Josh Stein in the middle now. Closer and closer to the Bunnies' end zone. Wynand Muller on the disc. Back to Josh Stein. Fakes off Vickers Null. Brought down by Ethan Hewlett. Kevin Bickle calls contact. He believes his attempt to catch the pass was restricted by Ethan Hewlett. Discussion continues between Kevin Bickle and Ethan Hewlett. The turnover stands. Ruan Mulder calls a timeout after picking up the disc. Sorry, I think I bumped the camera. A little bit. Sorry?
Okay. Just click OK.
Oh shit, where?
It's okay.
Oh fuck, my bad. Robin Lee on the disc. Disc coming in on 0. Kevin Bickle is the mark. Puts the Jim and Ginger. Ethan King on the disc now. Fakes the forehand. A long put. Wynand Muller brings it down. Josh Stein. Back to Wynand Muller. Lots of momentum now for the Kings. Chad Betts receives inbounds. Resets to where he last made contact with the ground. Keenan Dandridge is his mark. Josh Stein is the reset. Pardon. Wynand Muller, a deep option. Kevin Bickle receives. Shane Murray next. Decisive throw from Shane Murray back to Kevin Bickle. On the cusp of the end zone now. Lots of traffic. Looking for gaps. Vickers Null. Josh Stain. Kevin Bickle, hand in the air. Shane Murray looking. Kevin Bickle. Back to Vickers Null. Vainant Muller streaks round to catch the pop pass. Brings the score to 13-11 in favor of the Bunnies still.
Don't do it like that.
Josh Stain with the disc, preparing to pull. Hand raised by Thomas Viecher. Josh Stain spots it. 9 minutes left is the call. It was either 9 or 5, I may have misheard. Andy Oliver with the disc again. Keenan Dandridge receives in the middle. Andy Oliver fakes. Robin Lee with the disc to Ethan King. Ethan Hewlett receives near the end of the end zone, and Keenan Dandridge brings it down to make the score 14-11 in favor of the Bunnies. Energy level still there for the Kings. You can tell these guys just love playing frisbee. They may not be winning, but they're having a really good time. Robin Lee to pull. Moritz Benson to pick that up. Johan van Aert is his relief. Reinhard van Rensburg is the next option, who kicks to Aiden Parker. Resets to the handling line. Johan van Aert. Classic horizontal stack being played by the Malachite Kings here. Moritz Benson was the next option, but Keenan Dandridge sees the disc early and kicks to Thomas Viecher to end the game. Bunnies 15, Kings 11. A fantastic game from both teams. Good clinical play, a few long puts, awesome defense. Everything you want out of a frisbee game. Awesome spirit. Very little contestation. Short discussions. We love to see it. That concludes day one of Open and Women's Nationals 2025 here in East London. This evening we were at the Beacon Bay Country Club. Great grounds, great lighting, good vibes. Evening went on a little bit later than intended. But Opens and Women's Nationals only happens once a year. A chant of beer can be heard from both teams. I have a feeling a lot of the chaps are going to be heading to the bar after this. Fantastic vibes. And we'll see you tomorrow.